What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Benconnected. Absolutely stoked that you're here. Thanks for all the love and support. Can't wait for this week's episode. This week's episode is one of my dearest friends. He's an absolute hooper, absolute stud. He comes from Maryland, went to SUU, played overseas, and now currently just made the Salt Lake Stars roster. Dee Barnes, welcome to the show, bro.
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, bro. D, let's talk about how you get to this point, bro. You're from Maryland, obviously a hooper. The goal is to play collegiate. You're hooping in high school. How was that process to get you to college level?
Oh man, it was tough in high school, man. Cause my whole life growing up, I wanted to play for my uncle Tubby. And I thought I was gonna have the opportunity to. He ends up getting fired my senior year
Oh
when
wow.
he was at Memphis. He took a job at High Point University,
Okay.
the head coaching job there, but by then it was like too late. So I ended up taking a scholarship offer to Mount St. Mary's University, where I started out at. It's a small D1 in Maryland.
Okay. So locally, like kind of like a local school, close to home, or
Yeah, it was like 2.5 hours away from where I grew up at.
okay.
Um, so yeah, man, I went there. I had success as a freshman, like 27 against St. John's my first year.
Yeah, and anyone that don't know who St. John's is legit. That is a hooper school in New York. Davion Smith just left Utah to go there. They got some guys that go through that school, so that's tough. 27 on them is hard.
Yeah, man, it was cool, and that was my first college start.
That's not a bad way to start, bro.
Yeah, not
27 piece
not
on
bad
St.
at all,
John's.
man. Not
That ain't
bad at
bad.
all.
As a freshman.
Yep, yep. So I had that. Then I think I had like 10 points against Maryland, and like some other like notable games. But um, yeah, man, the journey to get here was
Because then
it was
so
rough.
you're at that school, and then you get to SUU.
Yep.
That's Maryland and Utah, especially Southern Utah, are a little different. Cedar City's a little different than Maryland.
Uh,
How did you get from Maryland to Cedar City, Utah, bro?
Crazy story, man. I actually entered the portal midway through my sophomore year. I entered the portal in December.
Okay.
And SU was actually the first school to hit me up. One of like my best coaches I've ever played for, Flynn Clayman, he hit me up, and
Good dude.
yeah, he's a
Really
really
good
good
coach.
dude. Yep.
Really good
And
coach. High IQ.
so he was like, "Hey, we got a scholarship open right now. Like, we really want you to come." And I was, just being young,
Yeah.
I was like, "Nah, like, I
Well, and,
want,
and let's be real,
I want to
like
go right
Utah's
now."
kind of a,
Yeah.
before you get here, right? It's kind of a look down, like, oh, it's a Utah school, like it ain't gonna be that cool. You know what I mean? Like probably, you know what I mean? Like I have a lot of buddies that like played out of state, and they're all like, bro, like Utah's like, all right, and then they get here and they're like, oh wow, this is like unbelievable for my career and whatever else. So okay, so they're talking to you, your vibe, you're like, cool, I appreciate it, but like I'm good.
Yeah, and then so I ended up playing at a Division 3 school for a semester, which like not a lot of people know, but I
Oh wow.
I did that to really just get my confidence back.
For sure.
Like my confidence was super low,
And stay kind of ready to play.
and so I just was like, man, like I'll just play here. It was right next to my home, so I was like, this is perfect. Like all my friends and family were able to come out and see me play for a little bit, so it was cool. Got my confidence back. Then I hit up Clavin like, yo, like I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
Then we went from there. It was good.
So then you get to SUU. At that time, SUU was very good.
Yeah.
We had one of your teammates on set a while ago, Zion Young,
Yeah.
unreal player. You had Mason Fawcett,
Yeah.
most probably like underappreciated, valued player, like as far as like kind of team role. And then you had Jackson or Drake Allen,
Yeah.
Jackson's little bro. But the team was full. Coach Todd was
Unbelievable.
forming this like kind of juggernaut in the whack
Yeah.
with like kind of being hidden, because like it was always like GCU and it was like GCU ran the show and then like kind of everyone else was there where Todd brought in some dudes that could hoop. You know what I mean? And you started playing and Tavion Jones, another one. You know what I mean? So like you had some dudes on that team. What was that like? Obviously, so you're playing at your school close to home. You then kind of get your confidence rocked to now back in what you're doing. Now you're like, okay, I'm good. To now living in Cedar City. What was that change as far as going from Maryland to Cedar City?
Oh man, that was like the biggest culture shock I think I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID, so
Which is crazy because COVID, the world was shut down.
yeah, exactly. So I was in the house all the time, like
Yeah.
during COVID, and then you come out to Utah and they're a little bit more laxed on the whole like mandate, the mask mandate, and everything.
There's a couple like, yeah, we gonna stick
Yeah,
it to the man. We ain't wearing the mask.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like where I was at in Cedar City, like it was enforced, but it wasn't like too bad.
It was kind of like encouraged.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I mean,
you could walk into a gas station and kind of have it on, like you could just have it on your face, but you didn't have to be like fully masked.
such a crazy time. And then it was like, oh, by the way, like don't, we want you to have a good time, but don't hang out with friends that aren't on the team, that aren't with you. And it's like, like you have the camaraderie of like your homies and your brothers on the team, and it's cool, but you also like need that time away from the team. You know what I mean? To hang out and go, especially in college, bro. You're trying to live life.
Yeah, dude, it was, man, it's a crazy time. Yeah,
Literally crazy time.
that was a crazy time. But yeah, man, I got to SUU during COVID, and really, I think that's where like my life kind of took like a big like turning point, honestly. And I kind of like in the beginning, I was having like a rough time with it just because like I was away from my family for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you were homebody before that. Yeah, like you stayed kind of local, and
And I'm a big mama's boy, so it's like I was right there.
Right.
Like if I needed anything, like she could drive to me, whatever. But like being away from home, I kind of had to figure it out. Right. And yeah, man, that first year there it was rough. And then the second year was kind of where like everything started to like come together a little bit. When I first got to SU, I was a preferred walk-on. So that second year they offered me a scholarship, and I still didn't play like that because our team was just loaded.
Okay, so you get baptized while you're here.
I get baptized, and then
your mom's probably like, "Yo, what the freak, dude? You
nah,
go to Utah?" Or are they cool? Like everyone.
My mom was super cool about it. Like my mom just like she straight up, she was just like, make sure you're doing it for yourself, like right, make sure it's not for for her, make sure it's not for something silly. And then down the line you're like, I don't know if I really want to do that, what I'm saying? Right. So it was actually like a pretty, like it was like a 6-month process for me to even like sit down with the missionaries and be like, okay, like this is what I want to do. Right. I took the lessons and everything, but it was a long process for me just because I was like, I want to make sure like I'm doing it for me.
Which in reality, like I think like everyone should do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like my dad went through 15 sets of missionaries. It was all the elders, and he would just talk about sports and military. And so they would just be like, all right, yeah. And the sisters came down and they're like, yeah, we don't care about sports and we don't care about the military. Like, do you want to get baptized? Yes or no? And my dad's like, oh, okay, like I got to make a decision for myself now. You know what I mean? But it's so cool because like then you like, I mean, you created a lot of friendships out of that. You know what I mean? Like, I know Trey, one of your good friends, and you know what I mean. So it's like you meet all these people because of that connection of
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got baptized, moved up here, and then like I was supposed to go to St. Peter's, so I committed to St. Peter's University in 2022.
Because that year at SUU. Like, you guys had a really good year, and then, like, everyone was kind of getting picked and part of that whole conference. And, I remember that year going to – and that was right after they went on their run, right? In the NCAA tournament?
Yep, exactly.
So it was right after the tournament.
So it was right after that.
So they were hot.
And it was like the school to be at. Yeah. So they offered me, like, late in the process, and I went out there. I went on my official visit. I just felt the need to, like, commit there. Right. But in reality, I think I was just so caught up in the fact that, like, this is St. Peter's, like, it's East Coast. I was, like, a 10-minute ferry ride from, like, New York and Times Square. So, like, I was like right there, and it was prime time, and I was like, finally, like this is something that I've always wanted to do.
Right.
They're gonna give me the green light, and like ultimately, like I went out there, and I didn't feel the same, and I prayed about it, and I ended up decommitting like the next day.
Which is crazy, right? Like, because on paper you're like sometimes you know like how you're like, dude, like this feels so good, and then you get out there and you're like, wait, it's not this good.
Nah.
Like that's crazy, dude. Because like a lot of people would be like, dude, like why did you not do this? You know, and so okay, so you get out there and it's not the move.
It was just not for me. And
for you.
I was, like on paper, everybody looked and they were like, I don't know, like how you don't take this. Like I don't know how you don't. Like why would you go back to SUU and they literally didn't play you for 2 years?
Right.
And it was kind of one of those things where I just had to like tell people like, I think like God wants me to be back in Utah. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I feel like this, but like I know I'm supposed to be back in Utah. And it ended up working out. Like I go back. We have a fantastic year.
I mean, that year was nasty.
We were a veteran team.
That's true.
So I don't know if anybody remembers, but we had me, Tev, Mason, Harry, Cam Healy.
Yep.
And
then you had Drake, who was a little younger, but he'd been around it and he knew how to win. And then you had the big kid,
Spurge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he was veteran too.
Yeah. So a lot of us, most of the time, most of us played together for years.
Right.
But though us 5 in particular, we were 5th-year seniors.
Yeah, because you all came back for that reason.
So we literally,
because Tavion came back, Harrison Butler came back, Mason came back. It was like, you guys came back to win.
Exactly. So it was like we finally got the moment that we all, wished for. So like it was only right that,
you're like, hey, I gotta finish
gave it our all.
Yeah.
And so I think that played a huge part in it too, was like just having that veteran mentality and having that veteran experience to where like you're able to, not panic and regroup and then just go out there and be able to still play.
I think it speaks volumes of who you are, and I think you look at where you're at now, you find ways to win. Yep. Like you in whatever situation, right? You go to a school in Maryland, you find a way to win. You're not confident, and so you got to find another scenery. You find a way to win. Yep. You go to Cedar City, Utah, a kid from Maryland that has no idea what Cedar City is about. You find a way to win. So then you get done with SUU. The goal is to play pro. What was that experience like? Well, before you went pro, you committed to another school.
Yeah. So before I went professional, I committed to High Point University, and I was there. I actually left last year in, I think, August.
Yeah, because it was like right before, because we were talking about a car.
Exactly. So, So I left in August, and, man, like, my time there, I think, really shaped everything for now, because Coach Huss and Coach Clayman, like, they treat like every player as if they're a professional already.
Nice, which is game changer.
Exactly,
like game changer.
Yep. So I will wake up, work out, go to class, get done. I'm lifting weights. Then after weights, you probably shoot. Yeah. Or
recovery. Get your body right.
Your recovery, then you got practice. And then after practice, they expect you to shoot again. Yeah. So
this is what you do.
Exactly. And so all day I was just putting in work. And it was like one of the best times of my life, just because I was like, this is like preparing me for, like the next step. Yeah, for sure. And at the same time, it was like one of the hardest times of my life, because I'm waiting on a waiver to get approved.
So you're kind of in limbo, which is another thing. It goes back to finding a way to win. Is you could easily have been like, well, I'm not going to really try hard because I might not get this. Exactly. But you're sitting there like, bro, I'm preparing as if I'm going to play.
Exactly. So, yeah, man, it was like 2 weeks before the season started. Yeah. And they called me in the office, and he was just like, we got an answer back. It's not the answer that we were hoping for, but, like, this isn't the end of your journey. And we're going to help you, with everything. And so then I was like, well,
I mean, deflating.
I don't know what I'm
That's
gonna
deflating.
do.
That's deflating, right? 2 weeks before a season.
Yeah, man. But I think God put me in that situation because I was able to grow as a man and learn the true value of being patient and being, present in the moment, because I really struggled with being present and being patient before that. Like everything in my life, I had always got it quick.
Yeah.
So like,
okay, so you're patient, you're present in the moment. You come back to Utah though.
exactly, man.
So this Utah place is kind of pulling you.
God pulls me back to Utah every time. I went home. I was home for like a month and a half.
Yeah. Cause when we last talked at the dealership, I was like, all right, bro, like I'll see you later type thing. That was kind of the last time, and then it was like a month later you hit me and you're like, bro, I'm back. I was like, oh, fire, let's go.
Bro, yeah. I was home for like a month and a half and spent time with my mom and my dad and my brothers, and just had to, like mentally reset. But I came out here and man, I was here for a week.
Yeah, that's enough.
I was here for a week, and I get a call from a team in Canada, from Coach JMO, who ended up being like a huge help for me. And they were like, "Hey, like we want to bring you in, like, what's your thoughts, whatever." And I was like, "Man, like." This is what I do. So, like, this is what I live for. So, man, yeah, I'm ready. So, I ended up flying to Canada, like, a week after I had just got here. Oh, wow. And, man, Canada really was a huge success.
Yeah, I mean, you were balling as a pro. Yeah, at that point, you're a pro athlete and you're doing well. Because a lot of people misconceive of, like, the misconception of, like, pro basketball overseas. Like, and I get it. There's levels and there's different teams and stuff. But all those dudes are hungry to be a pro. Exactly. Like it's still good hoops, and it's competitive, and there's guys that play over there that reality could easily give guys in the league a run. You know what I mean? So you're playing in Canada. What was that atmosphere like?
Dude,
the
fans, it was great.
Like, how was that?
Like the fans were great. The atmosphere is great.
Food was solid.
Food was good.
I've never been to Canada.
Food was solid. We had this place, Ace Shawarma, that we would go to. And man, it was really good. What
kind of food you like? Are you a food guy? Like, are you like, all right?
I'm very picky, bro. Really? I'm very picky. I don't eat dairy. Okay. I don't eat cheese. I don't eat red meat.
No red meat.
Nope.
Okay.
So like,
it's interesting. A lot of my pro athlete friends don't eat red meat. Yeah. And so I just thank them. Because I just signed a deal with a great butcher shop that has incredible meat, and I'm like, I take it all. But they also got pigs and stuff, so it's cool. Like it's not, full red meat, but so no red meat. Okay.
Nope.
So what's like a good meal to you?
I'm super picky. Probably salmon and rice.
Salmon rice goes crazy.
I love salmon.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll eat that 7 out of 7 days of the week.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong there. Yeah, you can't. Okay, so you had this restaurant in Canada. That was the go-to move. You're playing pro, atmosphere's cool, the season ends, then what's the move? You come back home.
Oh, yeah. So that season finished up. I ended up like getting rookie of the year, so that was cool to put on my resume.
I mean, that's not just like, hey, I had a good pro year. Like, I mean, that was rookie of the year of the league, bro. Like, that's tough.
Yeah, man, it was cool. I come back for like, what, like 2 months? 2 months maybe? 3? I don't know. I came back for a little bit, and then I ended up going to work out in Vegas. And then I get like a call the next day from a team in Mexico.
Yeah, because I remember you were playing in the Powder League here in Utah. Also, check that out. Utah's like pro-am. It's super fun, super cool environment. So you're balling at it too. Like your team was nasty. So you're balling. You go to Vegas and train, and then next day you're like, hey,
come back, and they're like, yo, like we need you here. And I was like, okay, like, what's my time frame? Yeah. And they're like, well, we'll give you a day because our first game is on Thursday. So I'm like, mind you, this is Sunday. Yeah, this is Sunday. So I'm like, bro, it's Sunday. I'm in Vegas. Like, what you mean I got a day? But that's how it is. So you just say. So I had to come back. I had to pack. Literally had a day. Fly out at 5:30 that Tuesday.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So is that something that, like, a team, like, kind of flies you out? Like, they're just like, all right, well, our people get that sandal for you, and then... Yeah. So they book it for you, then you fly out there.
They book it for you. They They give you the time. Like they'll book it at whatever time they really like.
They're like, it's 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m.
Yeah, if it's 5 a.m., you gotta go at 5 a.m. If it's at 6 p.m., you gotta go at 6 p.m. If it's at midnight,
You're catching the red eye.
Exactly.
Okay, so they get you out there. You get to Mexico. Okay, so now you played pro in Canada, rookie of the year. You're training in Vegas. Now you're in Mexico.
Yeah, and in Mexico, it was the first division out there.
Yeah.
I was playing in LMBP. You might know Jordan Loveridge. Yep. Jordan Loveridge is playing out there, and he's played out there for years, and he's he almost runs that league. I would say.
Yeah, no, I mean
his team,
unbelievable talent from Utah and played at Utah and killing it in Mexico, and Duke can go.
I get out there and
not on the same team though.
No, we weren't on the same team. I played for Jalsones Rojos de Veracruz. Okay. And I get out there and I'm playing with like Justin Denmont, who played on the Mavericks. I'm playing with Ike Diagu, who was like the 9th pick in the 2006 NBA draft. And I'm playing with Michael Eric, who played on the Cavaliers. And like all these former NBA guys and all these big name guys. And
which is kind of crazy, right? Like you're sitting there thinking like to yourself, like, all right, I'm in Vegas and now I'm in Mexico and I'm playing against ex-NBA guys. Yeah. That is your goal, right? To make it to that level. And so it's like, what a world like turn, you know what I mean? Of like events of like, oh wow, like I'm playing pros. Is that when you started to realize like, okay, like, I mean, obviously you were rookie of the year, so obviously that's part of it too. But like when you see a pro guy that you've like watched or know of, is that when you were kind of like, okay, I'm one of them. Like I'm a pro.
Yeah, I think when I first got out there, I had like two games where it was back-to-back double-figure games for me.
Right, which is big.
Yeah,
at any
like
level.
it was like I belong here, right. You know. And when I first got there, I kept telling myself like, bro, it's crazy that I'm here. Like it's crazy that I'm here.
Yeah, especially with a day in advance.
Yeah, and like finally, like I just realized like all the dudes who are like the top dudes, they always say like I belong here. Right. So I kind of just shifted my focus to saying like I belong here. Right. Like it's not crazy that I'm here because I belong here.
The mindset switch was.
Yeah, man, and like you know, I had a glimpse of success. I'll say that I had a glimpse of success in Mexico. You know, double figure games. I hit a game-winning shot when I was there. Right. I mean, balling. Yeah. So I mean, it was cool. It was a good experience for me, and it's good to have on my resume. And it was a good learning experience being with all those veteran guys. Yeah. But then I came back like a month and a half ago. And
yeah, what's that been like? I mean,
yeah, man,
come back to good, Utah. Man. Come back to the home.
I'm living with my buddies right now, and
which is the movie. If y'all know his boys, it's a fun time.
Shout out to Kyle and shout out to Kev and Mason and Spencer and Trey. And
you're talking to your agent. You're like, hey, I'm doing this G League thing. The stars time aligns. How was that tryout? Like, what was kind of the level? Like, is it good?
Oh man, it was good, bro. I think it was a huge experience for me. It was a chance to, you know, get in front of like the coaching staff and the GMs.
Were they pretty like, as far as like, because I mean, I know Ryan is super invested into like the Jazz and obviously Utah. Like I feel like Ryan Smith owns Utah at this point. But how engaged are those coaches in that tryout? Where, because you know how like they have open tryouts for colleges where they're like, hey, try to be a walk on, and you know dang well they just have to do it for the public reasoning. Is it kind of similar, or is it like they were trying to get guys?
I think to me, it seemed like they were trying to get guys, but I've also heard like experiences with guys who have went, and you know, it wasn't the best, but my experience was good.
Obviously, it worked out. You're on the team, so
my experience was good. And like yeah, man, like I think like a week later, I get a text from Pete, who's on their staff, and he was like, hey, like what's your agent's info? And then my agent got back to me like, hey, like they want you to go work out with them next week, which was last week. Right. So I went.
So what was that, like a workout with like the kind of players they already have, or
so the players that they already have for training camp. Okay. So the official roster doesn't drop until after training camp. Okay. So
are you talking Jazz or Stars or both?
The Stars.
Okay. Stars.
Yeah. So the Jazz start. I think NBA starts tonight.
Yeah,
right?
The NBA starts tonight, so their roster's already.
So their roster's set.
Yeah, their roster's set. But what about the two-way guys? Are the two-way guys
the two-way guys, I think occasionally they come down. Okay. Or it might be the opposite way. Occasionally they go up. I don't know. Yeah, but two-way guys. They haven't been with us working out.
Oh, okay, that's what I was
the past few weeks. So, yeah, man. Like, I started workouts with them last week. On Friday, I actually like signed the training camp deal with them. So
Which is big time, bro.
yeah, man.
That's awesome.
It's like my dream is like starting to unfold like right in front of me. So like it's like pretty cool. But yeah, man. I think the biggest thing from playing in college and playing professionally is like the efficiency.
Yes.
And like doing the little things. So like I obviously like I'm athletic.
Yeah, very athletic. If
but,
anyone, like, we'll drop some clips of Dee Barnes. He is very athletic.
Yeah, I'm athletic, but like if you know me, like I prioritize that 3-point shot.
100%.
And like that's kind of what like separates me from like the average basketball player. Like I'm good, but like I wouldn't say like I'm where I want to be.
Right.
But
and it's
I
due
think,
time too,
yeah.
right? Like as you progress is, and I think too, like finding roles, like your role at high school, being a guy that might score 30 points a game could be, I mean, you were a six guy at UVU or SUU and that made all the difference, where it's like, you might be a guy that comes in and shoots a lot of threes for the Stars, or you might have to be a defensive dude, but like, being willing to adapt to any role and like that's what separates, right? And I think that's what you have, and it goes back to the find a way to win. You got a way to win, and so that's how you're winning.
Yeah, and like at this level, it's like you got to play defense too. So
yeah, so I'm out.
I'm
out of the NFL. I'm out of it. That's why I didn't make it to the NBA.
Yeah, man. But
it wasn't because of anything else besides the fact I can't play defense.
Yeah, dude. I think you can play defense.
No, we could.
You try it.
No, I can't guard. I can't guard a parked car.
Really?
Nah. Okay, a parked car I can defend. It just depends. Guys like you and like that are explosive, I can't guard. Like that, it's just different level. Like explosive level is different, and especially at the collegiate level. Like that's what people don't understand. Like, dude, the bummiest college player could bust up like a normal hooper. You know what I mean? Like that's why like dudes that make like everyone's like, oh, Scalabrine like sucks, and then he goes to the freaking rec center and just gives people like 50. And it's like people don't realize the levels. There's levels to this shit. Like. So where do you fit in this level right now with where you're at on your team? Like, are you, like as far as how are you feeling with your, with your progression? Like, are you feeling like, hey, I'm competitive with these guys? Like,
yeah, I would definitely say I'm competitive.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've always played defense, so that's kind of like always been my thing. Like I've always had to guard like the best guy all the time. So it prepared me. Even in Mexico, like I had to guard full court because they had me at the point guard, which is like the first time in my life I ever had to like, yeah. So I had to set my scoring aside to, meet the needs of the team.
Right.
And, I kind of had to adapt. And that was like kind of where I figured out like, okay, like I can do this whole like 3-and-D thing.
Yeah.
Or I can do this whole just defense thing. Even if I went to practice tomorrow and they told me like, yo, we just want you to play defense.
You're like, all right, let's do it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, cause I can do it. Cause, I prepared for that. Yeah. So like,
I think that again, it goes back to I think like the whole time I'm listening to you talk and just kind of how you're being able to do what you're doing, and it goes back to just finding ways. Like you find a way and you're willing to find a way. Like there's so many dudes that have so much talent and opportunities that are like, well, if I'm not gonna score, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, and
or
if you look at like all these dudes who are signing in the NBA, and you look at like the dudes who have been in the NBA for years, right? Outside of LeBron and James Harden and Kevin Durant and those guys of the league, like Stephen Curry and all them, like that's like a separate
like separate category.
A separate category.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But you got dudes like PJ Tucker, or Derrick Jones Jr. or like dudes like that who just literally play defense, hit open shots, and run the floor, and they get paid millions of dollars. Why can't that be me?
My buddy, we were walking home that night in California from the Kings Academy camp, and he's like, bro, like, how did you he's like, I mean this in the most respectful way, but like, how did you get talked to by coaches? Like, and I was like, bro, like, I play basketball. Like, I knew I wasn't going to score in that game because I knew how it was, but I was going to set every screen, and I was going to rebound, and I was going to pass the ball, and I was going to talk on defense. And and he's like, oh. And we're on paper, bro, he scored 20 points, but no one even talked to him because it was like all these other things, and it's like, you got to remember there's a lot of different values of a lot of things,
And that kind of happened to me in college, man. I went on a run where, no joke, I think I was at some point in the season I was shooting 61% from three,
Yeah.
50 from the field,
Which is unreal.
and like 70 from the free throw.
And that's
And
high volume because
yeah,
in college you're playing like people are playing defense on you. You're not
exactly,
getting an open shot.
exactly. So then I text Coach Simon. I'm like, bro, like
Yeah, like what's up?
like what's going on? And he just straight up told me like I've been wanting to talk to you because like I have to find you minutes. He was like, I have to. I don't know. He was like, there's no way like you're doing like this good and I can't find you minutes. Like, but he also taught me from a coach's standpoint how hard it is to like play guys.
No, it's tough. It's brutal.
Because like you look at it like Tev, okay, he's in the run for player of the year.
Right.
Harry, he is literally a double like every other night.
Yeah, same Mason, same thing.
Double every other night. Yeah. Spurge is a 7 foot. You could put him at the 4, you could put him at the 3, you could put him at the 5.
Go anywhere.
Do anything.
Yeah.
And then you had Cam Healy, who literally scored, I think, like 2,000 points in college.
Some guys around you.
So it's like, then it was me, and I didn't play for 2 years in a row. Right. And I'm telling him, like, yo, like, I need to play.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like one of those things where, like, you learn as a player, like, there's so much more things you can do to get on the court rather than score the ball.
Yes.
Right? Like, I was big on defense and taking charges.
I can't tell you how many kids have just transferred in just our coaching district to go to this school because their coach is saying they're going to get this offer. They're going to play for this AAU team. And, again, transfers aren't the end of the world, and it's not a bad thing, right? Like, there's good transfers and there's good things. But what advice would you give to a young hooper?
Oh, man. First, before the basketball, man, you know, I wasn't the best that, you know, I was until I actually sat down and got right with God before anything. Right. So, like, the first thing I would say is, like, you know, like, try to find, you know, a spiritual foundation first. Yeah. Like, because that makes a lot of things easier. That makes, like, when you're going through slumps, it makes it easier. It gives you something to turn to. It gives you, like, a different insight on, you know, different struggles and stuff like that. So, like, that's the first thing. And then the second thing is just like be present. You know, I think a lot of times as a player, you think of like the end goal all the time, right? Yeah. So for me, like when I was younger, I was like, I got to get to the NBA. I got to get to the NBA. I got to get to the NBA. And I wanted to get there as fast as I could, right? And I felt like the only way that I could get there was if I scored a lot of points, right, or if I shot a certain percentage from three, or if I, you know, went out and had a big game this night or a big game that night. When in reality, it's like if you're present in every game, right, and you tell yourself, I'm going to do the best that I can in this 40 minutes, yeah, and the rest will handle itself, everything will work out. Literally. But like if you constantly go in and you pressure yourself and you're like, I need to do this, I need to do that, and just check yourself out. You know, like say you don't reach that goal. Now you're like, well, do I suck? Yeah. Do I even want to play basketball? Right. Like, do I want to do something else with my life? And I've hit those points where, like, I didn't want to play basketball 2 years ago. Yeah. Like, I had to talk to my mom, and I just basically told her, like, you know, I haven't found success since I was at Mount St. Mary's. Yeah. Like, I don't want to play anymore. Right. And she was like, take your time, regroup, and then we can talk about it, you know, down the line. But she was like, but, like, you're not going to just quit. Yeah. And then she was like, I put all this money into basketball. Like, like, you're not just going to quit.
Well, I think what a powerful experience, too, because it's more than just like, hey, like, you know, hey, I want to, like, cool that you recognize, like, kind of where your mental side was, you know, and I think that's kind of like it's like such a taboo thing to talk about is like mental health, and like it's kind of like you're weak if you talk about it, or like a therapist, if you have a therapist, like you're crazy. It's like, no, dude, like that was the greatest thing I ever did was for my mental health is get a therapist. Like you learn a lot, right? And it's like when you talk things out and you communicate and you're like, hey, look, like, yeah, I don't want to hoop. And then you re-find your why, and you're like, okay, yeah, I do. I just in that moment, because of this, I didn't want to.
Exactly. And I had there's still a really good friend of mine is Hayden Coombs, and he was kind of like my therapist. And I went through like a rough year at SU, my final year there, which like there's stuff like I won't talk about on here, but like there was times where I was turning to the wrong things, and as a young, immature college athlete, right? You have a lot of things at your disposal that
100%.
That
anything and everything is available when you are in settings. You know what I mean?
I kind of found myself with the wrong crowd sometimes and doing things that I probably shouldn't have done. But Hayden Coombs was like, he's like a game changer for me, because I would go and we would have basically like therapy sessions where like I would go talk to him about like, hey, I did this. Probably wasn't smart of me, and he would just give me like advice like, hey man, like I'm not gonna judge you, because that's your life, but at the same time, like it's good that you are able to come and tell me this, right? And man, I was able to get back on track, and he helped me in ways that I can't even explain, but it was just one of those situations where like you gotta take care of your mental health. No matter what anyone says, like it's a must, bro. Because like
you're right.
Yeah. Without that, like you can't do anything. Like some people can't work. Like some people get physically like sick. Some people, like for me, it was like I just didn't want to do anything. Like we'll have practice at 10 a.m. or whatever time we had practice, and I just didn't want to go. And like I had to tell somebody, because it was like,
because it just weighs on
what
you.
What am I gonna do? Like what am I gonna miss the game?
You're like, all right, I'm just not going.
Yeah, man. And I was like, man, like I need to talk to somebody. I need to find somebody to talk to, and I was kind of like my guy. And then Jason Spurgeon, his mom is a mental health coach, and my mother's actually a mental health coach. So like, she helped me a lot, and so man,
surround yourself with good people, bro. Your circle means a lot. Dude. It's so interesting that how important a circle is. And it's not that it's like, okay, like this is my circle and the world doesn't matter and like I only care about these people, but it's like I've noticed that like the people that I've started surrounding myself with as far as like business mentors, and my life has completely changed from where like I was even a year ago to 2 years ago, because like who I started hanging out with, and I was like, man, who do I want to be? Do I want to like, and it's not a bad thing. It's not like I'm like, oh, like I'm too good for you, but it's like, hey, like I want to be around people that are going to push me. I'm going to be around people that hold me accountable. I'm going to be around people that like want me to grow and want me to succeed, because there's a lot of people that don't want you to succeed. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, you're doing something that I want to do, or, oh, you have this job and I don't think you work as hard as I do, so like you shouldn't be successful. Like there's a lot of that in the world. And so it's like being able to surround yourself with people that want you to win is everything. And one last question, I guess, to end is, how would you say like connections, like, how have you been connected?
Oh man, that's like the thing that I think has kept my career going. Dude, the connections go a long way. From even like something as simple as like my best friend Trey, right? Like we talked about a clothing brand like last summer, and it was kind of just like a chill talk, and like.
And now next thing you know, you're making clothes.
Now I'm like, I dropped something in July. It's called Fixed Stars, and it's actually like, it's a cool it's a cool story behind it.
So everyone tap in.
Man.
Everyone tap in on social.
Yeah,
What's
man.
the at?
At Fixed Stars.
At Fixed Stars.
With
Make
a Z.
Sure.
Not with an S. It's Fixed Stars with a Z.
Fixed Stars with a Z.
Yeah,
tap
man.
in, like, follow, comment, get some merch.
Facts, man. And then like other connections, have put me in, this seat right here, Oh my God, Ben, we talked, and I was thinking about going to UVU, but
I tried to get him here. I tried to get you to UVU. I remember I DM'd you. I was like, bro, let's come to UVU. I was out there recruiting.
I couldn't go to that green that green. I couldn't do it.
Hey, they're Nike now though, so I think they could pull some different people now.
Yeah, I mean
Nike's different. Nike changes
they
the
just
game.
got a kid from UConn or something.
Yeah, kid that won a
so
natty, dude.
They might.
Before you leave, I got a couple gifts for you. I wanna bless you with. We partnered with the best cookie shop in Utah. It's called Dunked Cookies. Unreal, like. So like again, like I'm a big snack guy. I tell this all the time. I love snacks. I love treats. Like love playing NCAA at night, eating freaking cookies or something. And I'm also a sneakerhead. And so when I saw this shop and I went up and checked it out, I was like, yeah, this is the move. And so I'm gonna show you the box, show you the cookies. So this is Dunk Cookies over in Saratoga. Open that up, check it out. Let me know what you think.
Oh, this is sick.
Yeah, super.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually a cookie connoisseur. I go to Crumble every other day.
Well, it sounds like you're going to a new cookie
and
shop.
every weekend. So,
I mean, you can't complain about those, bro.
yeah, this is crazy though.
Yeah, this is your new cookie shop, bro.
Yeah, well, I might gotta go here on my own time.
Yeah,
S'mores.
no, you're
I
gonna
like the packaging too.
you're gonna
It's
take
sick.
the whole box.
Yeah.
That box is for you.
That's it.
Maybe give it to some shorties or
Eat
something.
or freeze within 24 hours.
Yeah, so you got some eating to do.
Yeah, we gonna handle this for sure.
And then we also partnered up with Lodge 33 Hat
yeah.
Company. Want to get you right. So we got their brand hat right here, Lodge
That's lit.
33. Use code Connected for 20% off. So when you get your custom piece, I want you to call. I'm gonna tap you in and get you a group chat with them, and they'll get you right.
Cool,
So,
bro.
All right, bro. I appreciate you coming on for real.
Yeah, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, bro.
It was sick.